Hi, this is Joanne Kobike. I'm your midlife coach, and I'm happy to welcome Norita Omar. Hi, Norita. She's
Hi,
from,
Joanne.
so you're from Perth, Australia. You're the founder of Strive and Thrive, where you inspire and empower the community to strive through challenges and create a thriving new positive life. Your
That's right.
goal, as I understand, is to create more awareness and change, especially for those who are affected by brain injury and mental illness. Being a survivor of a traumatic brain injury yourself, I know that you've been honored to be part of the film Broken Vessels, a U.S. feature film on brain injury survivors. And I understand that's going to premiere in Australia later this summer. So that's one of the things that I know we're going to talk about. But in the meanwhile, I want
to interrupt there. It's going to be premiere in Australia in August, but it's also going to be on US cinemas, coast to coast.
It's going to be at the first annual conference, right?
Yeah, that's right. The annual brain injury conference in Kansas City in September. Yeah. And then after, if I'm not wrong, Dallas, Texas, and then they're going to go, like to launch it like in a circuit or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a full circuit. So that's going to be pretty cool. Well, tell me, the focus of these interviews are about midlife changes and, the kinds of things that women go through with the goal of helping women to realize that they're not alone. The things that they experience midlife, many, many other women are experiencing too. And so I know you're pretty young yet for midlife, but as we talked earlier, you said that there was a time in your life a few years back where things kind of changed and your perspective on life changed. And I'd like you to talk to me a little bit about that.
Before we start, I just realized I haven't prepared a box of tissues.
Oh, I know. Hopefully I won't make you cry.
All right. So what happened was for many years since I was a child, for many years, I knew that inside me there was something bigger than me. I knew that I'm meant to do big things, but however, with the way that I was raised and with the environment I was in, I tend to close up, a lot of opportunities that came my way. Mm-hmm. And the opportunities were coming again and again, and I always said no, because I have self-limiting beliefs in myself, and I was just simply happy to just wait and see what happened, Mm-hmm. And universe had given me few, blows, and I kind of just cruise along whenever, those blows happen. But what drastically changed my life was two things. The first thing, when I fell off the stage at work and I was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. And that really kind of I believe changed me drastically, but did not kind of stir my path fully. But shortly after that brain injury, recovery, I was living in Christchurch at the time, and we had an earthquake, and I was injured in the earthquake, and I had a microwave, slide out of a slider and hit me, where brain injury is. So I had a second knock. Yeah. And with the earthquake, I realized, from the earthquake, I realized that, two blows in a few short years, injury, because the brain injury really kind of nearly lost me. I mean, I nearly lose myself during the recovery stages of brain injury. And then, shortly after that, having the earthquake and I was injured, it really made me open up, my mind to what life is, is this life where it can just be taken away, within seconds? Yeah. It's really think about what I do, what I plan to do and what life has meaning for me, that kind of thing. Anyway, long story cut short, I had to actually move to a new country and rebuild my life. And during that stage of having, not that I want to, but having to rebuild my life, I have to really, go through a lot of fears, a lot of courage. I have to really discover not what I want, but what my spirit wants, what my soul is speaking to me, And during that time, I knew what I had to do, but then, there's something in me didn't believe I could do it, because this is the part that I really want to share with your audience. Now looking back, I could laugh about it, but back then it was so hilarious how I actually think that life was just that. Like, okay, that's the career that I've done for that many years, and that's the only thing I know, and that's the only, thing that I should be doing, and there's nothing else I know or I could do. It's just so hilarious now. When I look back, it's like, why would you think of that? Yeah. So, like now I look back, I realize, oh my God, like, I actually have more to offer than what I thought. I actually know more, than what I thought. At that time, I didn't, Yeah, and there was like a long, big process. I believe universe kind of like forced me to actually do the things that I was meant to do. And then after that, so I dare to say that was like the biggest part of me where I had to walk through a few different paths, right? To actually realize that, oh my God, like, like this is just the beginning.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like quite an experience. Going through that kind of upheaval, and like you say, being face on with the sense that, yeah, I could be gone in a second. And so you say, well, and so what the hell am I doing with the life that I have?
Yeah, like, where's my family? Because at that time when I had the earthquake, when I had the brain injury, I was in Christchurch. My family is in Melbourne, Australia, and also Singapore. And, when I went through the earthquake, what really kind of like hit my heart was when I had to sit in a line of people waiting to see the doctor at the emergency ward, and I look at everyone, everyone has someone with them, and here I am, I'm injured, I'm bleeding, and I'm by myself, and suddenly I realized I didn't have support system because I have built this person that is just so strong, thinking that she could do anything on her own, which is great for the job that I was doing because I was a casino chief manager. But at the same time, I forgot that, that no one can do things on her own. Everyone, it would be nice to have a support system. And I didn't have a support system at the time. So that was like for the first time, my heart spoke to me, Yeah. And that's the reason why after the earthquake, I decided to move to Australia because my sister is in Melbourne. So I thought I'll be closer to family. And Australia is close to Singapore. So I thought, like I'll be closer to them because New Zealand is further than Singapore. Yeah. And but to move here to start everything, because I didn't have a job, I didn't have a visa,
Yeah.
And yeah, there was, and I remember it just weird. At that time, I honestly thought, oh my God, like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
The career that I have been worshiping, and burning myself for, because I really buried myself in career.
Yeah.
Suddenly that career is gone,
Yeah.
And I was in a state at the time after the earthquake, when I moved to Australia, I was in a state where I wasn't in a good condition to go back to casino.
Yeah.
Casino.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to choose a different path, Yeah. And it was, and at that time, I think in a way I was blessed. Now looking back, I had directions given to me, like what to take, or maybe at that time, maybe I took time. I took 3 weeks to just sit with myself and ask myself, what now? What now? Yeah. And now looking back, like, it has been a very big journey, and it's the beginning, Yeah, very exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, your life has certainly taken a different turn. It is so interesting, though. I think women, in different ways, immerse themselves in something that consumes them. For you, it was your job with casino. For many women, it's their families. They give so much to their families, raising their kids, and for others, it is work. But work outside the home, but whatever it is, like you say, we think that that's all there is to life, right?
I know, right?
You give so much of yourself and you're so immersed in it that you just can't see what is out there until something comes along. And for women who are, who are stay-at-home moms, it's that time when those kids leave home and you're an empty nester and you look around and you go, well, what else is there in my life? For others who have worked so hard like you have and been so immersed in their career, something happens to that career and you look around and you go, oh, well, now what? And, the thing is, not everyone can see the next step, or even, some people just kind of fall in on themselves and they just kind of ruminate over the fact that what they had isn't there anymore and life just sucks and all of those kind of things. And so the fact that you were able to take that time to reflect and to think and to, like you say, open yourself up to what the universe has to say to you is huge. And I really, encourage women to do that, to take that time for themselves and to listen to themselves, to the wisdom that they have inside, that most of the time there's so much noise going around on the outside, you can't hear that. So
like for me, at that time, there were definitely a lot of noises. That was like, now at this stage, we're talking about when I first moved to Australia and having to, create a new path on, all right, what now? And then shortly after that, I went through the same scenario when I started my business. Similar thing, like, I didn't know anything. I'm a new small business owner. I do not know anything, So I think in my life, right, that 2 moments was like where I actually at that time thought I didn't know anything. And, I play really small because I believe at that time I was small. I didn't know anything. I didn't know, because that's what I've been telling my mom, But now when I look back, right, it's like both moments, it was very, like I say, I was very blessed because I have always been this person where since I was young, I have always been this person like I always do what I want,
Yeah.
People tell me the noises can be around me, but I've always kind of like, I do what I want because there's something inside me. Like if I were to do something, there's been times where I do things that I didn't want to do and I could feel something inside me just didn't sit. And it will actually make me not liking myself, not feeling proud of myself.
Yes.
So because I have walked that journey of how, misaligned I was in the past, right? So I knew what it feels like. So nowadays, right, like, I tend to just do whatever I want, and I in saying that, not like doing whatever I want, which is like, will bring harm to me or to people or whatever. But like, for example, like when you sit, I'm able to sit with myself and really ask myself. And to be honest, at that time when I sit with myself, the answers that were coming to me at that time were just, oh my God, that's not going to happen. Oh, what if you fail? What if you didn't get a visa? What if you didn't graduate? Because I was, planning to, further my studies and all that. What if you're not smart enough, to go back to studying? Like the noises were just saying, no, no, no. Mm-hmm. And some of the noises were even including my own family and the doctors.
Yeah.
So, the doctors, my mom, everyone said to me, no. But something was saying to me, all right, let's just focus on what you want. What do you really want, Nori, So at that time, my focus was very clear. I didn't want to go back to Singapore because that was where I was originally from. The focus is very clear. At the end of the day, I didn't want to go back to Singapore. So I got to do whatever I got to do, right? Whether I believe in myself, whether I believe I could pass, whether I believe I could go back to school, whether I believe I could get a visa. I just didn't know. I do not even know, and maybe I don't even believe that I could, but I know what I don't want.
Yeah.
And I know what I want. So if I want that, then there's the only steps I have to take. So we just then make these small steps and then see what happens, Mm-hmm. And then once you take these steps and then you're halfway and then you realize, that's it, I got to keep going because I can't give up now.
No going back.
No going back, and we're just talking about this yesterday. I was with my partner and we we're talking about some things, And it's the same thing, you just got to make that first step. Once you make that first step, second step, suddenly you will find yourself in the middle. Hey, that's it. You can't go back now.
That's right. Got to keep going.
You got to keep going. So that was the thing that got me, people ask me how did I build the courage to do things that I do. I just asked myself, what do you really want? Not what your family wants. I was in few stages in my life where it's really hard, because even until today, what I want is not what my family wants. What my family wants is not what I want. And I had to, build that courage. And people ask me, how do you build the courage to do what you want? I ask myself, and I ask my heart, what do I really want? And then after that, I source and say, what do you want me to? What am I?
Is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
If the answer fits, then I know that's what I'm supposed to do. And if it doesn't fit in with other people's, plans, then, too bad, So that's what I did, when I decided, okay, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to, get a degree. I'm going to get a visa, and I'm going to try to stay in this country. So that's what I did. And it's the same thing after I graduated. I was actually, offered a few positions, and money was attractive at that time. But again, I had to ask myself, what do you really want? What do you really want? And what does the body feel? What does soul feels? Does it feel right to take up that position, or what do you really want? And then a few years later, when I started my business, it's the same thing. What do you really want? So I think it's very important for women, regardless of what age or midlife crisis, because I believe, Joan, I don't know whether you agree with this, I believe midlife crisis happens at different stages. Yeah. To some people it's 50s, to some people it's 30s. Like I had an intern who are in her late 20s, and she said to me, she's having a midlife crisis because she's, So I think, at the same time also, I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on, I'm turning 30, I'm turning 40, I'm turning 50, I'm turning 60. And to me, it's like, I don't really bother myself with age, but I really, really ask myself, every time when I catch myself in a challenging path where I have to make decisions left or right, I ask myself, what do you really want? Mm-hmm. And whatever that you want, right? What good will it do for your future? So I think it's very important for women to ask themselves, what do they really want? Not what their family wants or what they think they should do.
That's right.
What does that speak?
That is a really, really important message. And many, many women have no idea what they want. And for years, they've never asked themselves what they want, because they've been so busy helping, doing, being busy, doing things for everything else. And sometimes they're purposely avoiding asking themselves, because, like you say, the answer isn't always what everybody else wants.
Yes.
And it's scary.
Yeah. And you're right with that, because it's easy for me, it's easy for me to say, just ask yourself, what do you really want? But you are definitely right, because I've had clients, at first come to me and then say, I do not know what I want. And I'm like, how do you not know what you want? And then because I was in my early stages of, coaching and mentoring, and I'm amazed, like, how do you not know what you want? And then we had to unpack and go through from basics, like, who are you, what do you like to eat? What do you like to watch? What amuses you? What saddens you? And we had to go through basic to find who they truly are, because they just lost in that journey. And then I only understand, I think only starting last year, after doing a bit of mentoring, coaching with women that are, older than me, that I started to realize, Nori, you haven't got kids. You buried yourself in work,
Yeah.
It's not as difficult as there are women out there who are working and raising children and looking after household. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of, that's like 3 full-time jobs, Yeah. No wonder they lost themselves through.
That's right. It is no wonder. And it's that when you say that a midlife crisis happens kind of in different times of life, I think, that whole concept of midlife crisis is totally a misnomer. It's not a crisis. It's like a turning point where
Yes.
suddenly your eyes are opened and your ears are opened and you're really seeing the world and looking around and trying to figure out where your place in the world is. And it just changes your awareness and your thought process. And you realize that time is short. You don't have forever. You realize that you don't want to be surrounded by people that don't resonate with you, and you've collected all this baggage of stuff and people that doesn't really suit who you really want to be. And it's a time of understanding that. And then you got to start the process of, peeling things off and leaving things at the doorstep and, getting back down to who you really are. And that's a painful, scary process, and it impacts the people in your life, which makes it worse.
Especially mothers,
Yeah, because you got kids and spouse and all of that, and so there's those emotional ties that make it even more complicated. But if you can do it, if you're willing to put yourself through that, gosh, what you get on the other side is so wonderful.
You'll be blooming. You'll be like this, like at the moment when you say that, I just picture, these big flowers, this rosebud, from a rosebud suddenly burn. Flower. And yes, like you said, I understand. It is not easy. Regardless whether you're going through that process or you're going through someone like me who had an injury and I had to discover my new self, it is not easy. It is easy when we're on stage and we're talking about it, because I'm a motivation speaker. It's easy when, people think like, oh, she's on stage 30 minutes, she talked about it, it's easy. But that 30 minutes or 40 minutes or even 15 minutes speech was a story of something that was worked on 10 years, Yes, so it's a journey. It's not something that you think, oh, just because you go through coaching, or you can, I feel that even I look at myself now, it's, oh my God, when I look back, I have worked on myself for many years. And have I really got myself there fully? No, I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. And I'm so much better, but still, there's no the end.
Yeah.
When will I get there? You will never get there, because it's always a process. You hit one level, something else happened, and you gotta unpeel, and then another level. So you keep growing, and that's the beautiful part of it.
Yeah.
Like flower is great, they bloom, but then flower wilts and die. But you go through that process. It's so beautiful, and it will never end. You will just keep growing, and you will just turn into this beautiful person. But you have the courage to walk that journey.
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. And gosh, the end result is so wonderful, but it's a scary process. And like you say, people see you the way you are now and this positive person and all of these things, and they don't realize that it was 10, 15 years of hard work and pain and uncertainty and all of that goes into getting you where you are. And it's kind of like, people laugh when they say, oh yeah, she's an overnight sensation. And they're like, no, she's been working at her craft for like the last 10 years and she's finally got discovered and she looks like an overnight sensation, but no.
Definitely. And I love that you mentioned the word uncertainty. When you mentioned the word uncertainty, at the back of my head, a few seconds before you mentioned that, the word unknown came out, and I was about to touch on the word unknown. I think a lot of people, including myself, I'm still working on it now. It is just scary because we do not know what's going to come.
Yeah.
It's also scary because we are surrounded by the things that we know, the people that we know, and we know that if we were to step onto this journey, whatever that is going to come out next, like you said early on, there are some people or some things that might have to,
they're not going to come with you.
Yeah, not going to come with you. And that's the scary thing. And also, I think it's human nature. We want to know everything.
Yeah.
All right, I do that, right?
Yeah. I want to know exactly what's going to happen to me.
And I think
it's not like that.
recently I started to talk about, embracing the unknown and letting go and all that. Because a lot of people ask me, how did you do it? How did you do it? And I say, when you want to know everything, because I was a casino shift manager, I was a hotel manager. So when you're in that position, you want to know everything. You're a control freak, because you got to get everything go right. But now, after going through what I went through, I started to realize, it's just too much work and too much anxiety, too much, like you said, scary when you want to know everything,
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna let go of this control freak, and I'm just gonna be this new person where I'm just gonna follow my heart, that I feel, this is what my heart is telling me to do. And then I just kind of like trust that the universe has got my back.
Yeah.
Because I believe that I'm doing something that, especially at the moment where I'm doing something, it's not about me, it's about, the goodness of humanity and all that. So that I believe that, I'm not alone, that I'm supported. Mm-hmm. So I just do what I feel I need to be doing, and, like planning and creating and marketing and all that, organizing. So I do those stuff that I can do, and how things going to unfold, I'm just going to let go, and then I'm just going to trust. Yeah. And so recently I kind of feel something is changing in me, where I'm not as anxious as when I wanted to go back to uni. Yeah. I had so much anxiety, so much fear. When I applied for my visa, so much anxiety, so much fear. When I wanted to leave, my casino, career that I have been for so many years to start my business. So I look back, you're just scared because you want to know what's going to turn out. That's right. How about just don't worry how it's going to turn out? How about just listen to yourself and find out, things like research. You got to do a bit of research or get a mentor to kind of like, tell you the options of what you can be doing, and then you just do it, and then just trust, Yeah. And things just unfold. I feel like it's just much more relaxing that way, Yeah. Yeah. It's not, it's just scary because we're all control freaks, Yeah.
Well, it's true. We, like you said, because you had that end goal of getting to uni, then you had to make that happen, right? Yeah. That's how, and so that's what creates the anxiety. It's that, what do they say? They say if you can let go of your expectations, because it's the expectations that cause you that anxiety and that concern.
Yeah. And also let people what people gonna think of you.
Yeah.
Because I remember going back to uni as a mature student,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was worried, like, oh my God, maybe I'm a bit too old for this, Yeah. And I was, I was not, look back, it's not really that old, but at that time, having to sit in a class with 19-year-olds,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, letting go of your expectations and letting go of other people's expectations, your family expectations.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard. Pushing the family, pushing them back a little bit. But, having that trust is two things. It's learning to hear yourself,
yes.
Learning to really hear what there is in there, and then trusting that you're hearing the right thing. Because, of course, as soon as you hear something, then the voice comes and says, oh, no, that's wrong. You can't do that. That's crazy, blah, blah, it goes on. And then this other voice kind of fades away. It's like, well, fine. You want to listen to them? Go ahead. I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to come back.
Yeah, definitely. Like you're right there, and thank you for spotting that, because you're right. And recently someone said to me about, it's good for you, Nori, because when you ask yourself, you're hearing what your heart is saying. But there are some people, when they ask themselves, they hear what their head or the other side is saying, Yeah. So like with me, what I do is that when I ask myself, right, like the answers that I get, I will ask myself, what does this answer represent? Does it represent my heart, which is, my love for, for people that are going through what I went through, 13 years ago? When I hear those voices, like if they represent love, if they represent, for example, just an example, if they represent my growth, if they represent my positive future, if they represent what I want to make myself more happy to get what I want, or if they represent my love for humanity, my love for people that are going through what I went through 13 years ago, then I gotta have confidence that those words are coming from the good source, Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if I say those words are, trust me, I still get them, Like, for example, to be honest, I just got them, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, something happened over the weekend, and of course, I'm not perfect, I'm still human, like, I still get that, what I call it, dark voices, and I hear some things, and then I say to myself, okay, you have a choice now, you know those voices are not right, that, and how I know that is because I got to come back to myself again and ask myself, who am I? Who am I and what I have been doing, I have to find ways to find out, whether I believe in myself or not, So you got to keep coming back to yourself, because when you come back to yourself, if you're quiet, if you're silent, if you meditate, and then you just kind of like ask yourself, your higher self will speak to you. Mm-hmm. So when I hear what my higher self is saying to me, then I go back to those words they're saying to me, then as much as the voices are there, I gotta say, no, you're not right. Yeah. You're not right. Okay, I know you're here. I know you're here because you're tired, You had a big weekend. You had a big few weeks, in different countries. So you are here because you're tired. So you try and tell me to, hey, let's just give up. This is too hard. I can't do it, yet. So I acknowledge that you're tired. So we're just going to rest on Monday. And we're just going to give us, a lot of love. Yeah. And then I'm going to go again. So I acknowledge. I did not, like in the past, I used to say, hey, shut up. I'm not listening to you. Yeah. But now, okay, why are you here? Why are you telling me this? Yeah, so, okay, you're tired. I get you. All right, send love. Now sit down.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's like if you strong arm them and push them away, then they come back stronger. But you can recognize, okay, like you say, those voices are worried that you need rest. Yes. Okay, they're looking out for you in a strange way, right? And so you look at what they're saying to you and figure out, well, what's that kernel of truth inside? What is it that's in there that I need to pay attention to? And just kind of peel away the rest of the stuff. And then when you see what that is, you're like, oh, okay, well, I know how to deal with that. I can take care of that. Yeah. And you can still stay true to yourself. But when you just accept those voices and let them drown out the rest of you, that's when you run into trouble.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, like in the past, I'm very open with how I'm feeling and all that. And I had people telling me, oh, you're strive and thrive. You shouldn't feel like that and you shouldn't talk like that. You have to be positive all the time because you strive and thrive. And I said, no, I'm human. Yeah. I might have worked on myself for many years, but at the end of the day, I'm still human. And being human is you will have days that you are not 100%. You will have days that you feel a bit down, or you feel tired, or you feel a bit sad, because it's just part of being a woman, being human, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just need to know how to manage when you get those, what you call it, unpleasant visitors. But at the same time, yourself, because they're just reminding you, hey, we're here.
And that's part of the idea of forgiving yourself, right? Yes. Because we are human, we make mistakes, and even though we may be getting better, there's still a long way to go, and we're a work in progress. And so when we make mistakes, when we make a wrong choice, when we do something that might hurt someone inadvertently, we need to deal with it, fix it, and then we need to forgive ourselves for that. Because it doesn't help you to beat yourself up over something and, make it worse because
beat themselves up. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was like that as well. And sometimes I caught myself doing that, Yeah. And that's where I think it's very important for us to practice self-love on a daily basis. Yeah. Again, being part of human, you will still beat yourself up and you will still having all these negative thoughts, things that you say to yourself sometimes because you're human, you're not perfect. Yeah. But when you have a lot of love for yourself, then your own higher self will remind you, hey, don't talk to yourself like that. Don't,
Right, be
like,
nice to yourself.
yeah. And there's a reason why. Like I've had, because I'm very big on self-love and self-care, and with my conditions, because I'm not the same person I was, before the brain injury.
Right.
Especially now with the business, and I've got a lot going on this year. And again, it is scary, and the voices sometimes say, "No, Nori, you can't do that. Why don't we just cruise?"
Just sit back.
And but again, I know what I want, and I know what I need to be doing, and what I've been put on this, on this earth to do. So I'm going to do that. But to do that, I have to have daily self-care, daily, what I call it, self-love routines and all that, because that is very important for me, because they are the ones that's going to be my anchor, when those voices come in,
That's right. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, regardless of anything, I only realized this like in the recent years, more strongly since last year. Every problem in the world, every doubt, every scary thoughts, anything can be solved with love. You can solve all your anxiety, you can solve all your doubts and all your madness going on in your head with lots of love, by giving lots of love to yourself. You can solve a lot of problems with other people. Like, for example, if you have conflicts with other people, that are not on the same path as you, right? Or don't do what you do, or treat you badly, or whatever. The only way, to solve those stuff is to have love for themselves, and if they don't have the love for themselves, then we need to send them love, because they are lacking the love for themselves. It's not something that's easy to do, but
sometimes it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah, but I have to keep reminding myself, what do you want to choose, Nori? What do you want to choose? Do you want to choose? Do you want to fight back? Do you want to fight back, or do you want to just, try to understand who they are, where they are, and why they feel what they're feeling, and then just send them love, Yeah.
I know. That is, you have to be pretty evolved individual to be, succeed at that as often as you would like, because it is challenging, but you're right.
I have a spiritual mentor at the moment, and she is really hard on me, like sometimes, I don't use the word hard on me, but she constantly reminds me of what my work is here. And to do that work, I need to have love for others as much as love for myself, So sometimes when I catch myself in a place where, like you said, challenging to send people love, I just ask myself, what do you choose? What do you want to do, Nora? What do you want to do? There's not many choices. There's not many decisions. There's only two. Yeah. The positive or negative. That's it. So what's your choice? And sometimes it is challenging, but if you want to have a better world, a better life, a better soul, a better outcome, then, even though it's challenging, you just have to choose the positive one, which is, all right, send love.
Okay, I'll do this. Yeah.
Right, respond.
Yeah. Put my ego aside. Try to get back to me in here, and how do I really want to interact with someone else? Yeah, I can think of a few circumstances for myself when, I'd have to think really hard about that. But,
And sometimes when you're working on it, the more things happen, to challenge you, whether, all right, from here, what's your choice, Nori? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, right? Oh, gosh. Well, so you have an event coming up next month. You have two, actually. You have two big things coming next month.
I tell you seriously, and this is the reason why. A few days ago, I had those dark voices coming to me and said to me, "Ooh, you're doing a lot, Nori. Like it's nice to just cruise. Can we just cruise and stay like what we used to be doing? Because what we used to be doing is very, a lot of my things are scheduled, automated. So because I've got chronic pains, from the earthquake, from the brain injury and all that. I'm much better now than what I was last year and previous years, because I'm taking care of myself, like, way more than what I used to do. So I'm better now. But in the past, I could work whenever I want to work. I choose my hours. I choose my projects. Everything is again in my control, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, because there are things that are outside my control and not being, you know, managed by me, you know, decisions are not within my own self. So I think, you know, the comfort side of me saying, oh, you know, let's not go there. Let's just do this because this is comfortable, you know. Yeah. But then the other side of me is saying, you need to grow.
Yeah.
You can't do the same thing every year, you know, like you need to grow.
Yeah.
And you need to really listen to yourself. So, and that's the reason why I accepted and said to myself, we can do this, we can, you know. And even if we believe that we can't, we're just gonna do it anyway and then see what happens.
That's right.
So the thing that's been so exciting this year is like, so with my business, we have Positive Life Expo and workshops, which happens every August. And it is a very, very, what I call it, fun and safe place to be. Mm-hmm. And why I say fun, because what happened was when I first started my journey with this health and wellness event and all that, after the loss of my friend to suicide in 2015, I said to myself, I want to do events where we bring people together and I want to create awareness about, you know, about this issue. But then when I walk around and I look at, you know, like what other people are doing, health and wellness event, it is good, but everywhere is the same, you know, like seminars, expo. So I said to myself, I don't really want to focus on, you know, being too clinical about depression, anxiety, because these messages are very heavy, you know. So I do not want my events to be heavy oriented, you know. Mm-hmm. So I said to myself, I want to focus on the desired outcome. So, you know, because with the way I am today, you know, like I aim to live life positively every day. So I knew that, you know, regardless of whatever your situation or condition is, it can be achieved because, you know, it's a choice. Happiness is a choice. And so I said to myself, whatever that I have worked on myself, I wanted to share with people. So we're going to focus, again, I asked myself, what do you want? You know, I do not want to focus on the problem. I want to focus on the outcome, okay? So I want people to, you know, live life positively. I want people to celebrate life and have fun and be happy. I want to show people what can you do, what can you experience if you choose happiness, if you choose, you know, positive, to live life positively. So that's how, you know, the events was created and it evolved and into something that's called Positive Life, where I have people telling me, even if they don't see me, even if they don't see me around the event, they say, oh, this is Nori's energy.
Feels like
you, know?
you, right? Yeah.
Nori's energy, you know, because we focus on fun. Yeah. But also the seminars and the product, the services there, the messages is about, you know, it's about depression, it's about fear, it's about stress, it's about anxiety. So it's just that the feeling of the event, you know, we focus on happiness, fun, and all that. So that's Positive Life. And the funny thing was, this is the funny thing that I'm just going to share with you, right? We have this every year, and I'm very happy and very proud of this event because I bring together heart-based businesses. They are all selected and invited. Not just anyone can be part of it. Mm-hmm. I'm very careful with selecting who you know to be collaborating with, because the audience that I have, you know, they are audiences that trust me, you know. Yeah. So I got to make sure, like, you know, for me to do whatever that I need to achieve with the event, I got to get the right sponsors, the right speakers, volunteers, and all that has similar passion as me. So, but this year was weird because I told my sponsors that, hey, you know, because I've had sponsors that has been with me since day one, you know. Yeah. So I said to them, this year we're really going to be celebrating life because this year is the last Positive Life, you know. And I didn't know why I said that.
Oh, the words came out of your mouth before you really even realized it?
Yeah, there was no discussion or no thoughts, you know. Uh-huh. It just came out, this is the last Positive Life. And then I said to myself after that, why did I say that, you know? So these sponsors were asking me, oh, why is it the last one, Nori, you know? And I said, I don't know. It's just something that I feel. Like I feel deeply in me that this is the last Positive Life. And I honestly do not know why, all right?
Something else is coming.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, so
shortly,
you have to make room for that.
yeah. Ooh, I've got goosebumps now.
Yes.
So, so what happened was, end of last year, I was invited by a US filmmaker and producer to be part of a US feature film, which is a story on brain injury survivors, you know.
Mhm.
And so I'm the only non-American, you know, yeah, because that will be in the movie. And so yeah, so the funny thing so I'm rewinding back the story now. So when they approached me, the thing is, this is the funny thing about how universe works. I kid you not, even until last few days, I still sit and just so amazed about how universe works, you know. Few months before I received the invitation, I was actually hunting for opportunities, you know, to do some work within the brain injury community. Because for the last 3 years, you know, I have worked, you know, within the mental health community. And it's great, but because, you know, my story is brain injury and I want to give back to brain injury, you know, community. So I looked for opportunities, but there weren't any. You know, I got shut down a few times until I said to myself, you know what, Nori, don't chase. If it's meant to be, you'll come. Mm-hmm. So when this opportunity from US came in, I was like, oh my God, I don't really care whether it's just an interview or I don't really care. Like as long as I could contribute in that film, I said yes. I was so happy. But then because of the seasons in US, because at that time I was meant to fly there in November, but then, you know, with the winter there, because, you know, winter in Michigan can be quite harsh, so the dates was changing, was postponed a few times, and I don't even know whether I'm going or not. All right. Yeah. And then but then few things were happening at that time. I kid you not. Like I went into a massage place, and while I was having a massage, I actually asked, am I really going to US? You know, and then I came out after my massage, which is like, I don't know, an hour after that, I finished my massage. I woke up and I saw a guy wearing Detroit, Michigan t-shirt. And I was at that time, and I said, oh my God, it's a sign, I'm going, you know? But then again, my days got postponed again. So it got postponed so many times, and then I'm like, oh my God, am I going or not? And the reason is whether I want to know whether I'm going or not. I mean, I don't really care whether, because I leave it to the universe to just unfold things. But I need to know whether I'm going or not, because at that time I had plans, you know, to do other things. I had other projects happening, like with India, like, you know, like the expo and all that. And then when I was in India, believe it or not, you know, I met majority of Americans. I mean, you're one of them, of course, but the rest of the Americans that I met, majority of them are from Michigan. Oh. So they were, I'm going. So, yeah. So when I got the news that, so finally they said to me, all right, you're going, these dates you're flying. And so I went there, and I thought it was just for one interview. But then I had the opportunity to visit the brain injury rehab centers, and I connected with my people, you know, and something happened there, you know, while working with the Vega family who is producing this film, while me connecting with the rehab centers, there's something happened there. I can't really explain. And suddenly one thing led to another. And I came back here, and I said to all my sponsors, you know, like the ones that, you know, the major sponsors, I said to them, it's confirmed I'm not going to be here next year. So this is the last Positive Life. And they said to me, so what's the plan? I said, I do not know.
I don't know, but something's cooking.
Yeah, I just feel strongly that I will not be next year. Yeah. So after that, I found out that I got invited to attend the annual brain injury conference, where they're going to launch the film in US. So that will be like the first launching point in US. And then after that, you know, they're going to go, there's possibility that, I mean, at the moment things are in the planning. So the only thing I know is like the conference is on. So I'll be with the producer launching that film there. But then apart from that, I was so ecstatically happy when I found out that they asked me if I would like, because they know I've got audience here in Australia.
Yeah.
So they said, oh, well, if you want, you can do the Australian red carpet premiere and launch the movie there. And I was already like, oh my God. And then suddenly they told me they're flying in here as well.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, yeah. So the Vega family will be coming down here. They will be at the Positive Life,
Oh,
and
they are. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So they will be at the Positive Life, which is 17th of August.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they arrive in a few days before that, because of jet, they will be like potential jet lag and all that. And they will be at Positive Life presenting the movie. And then a few days after that, there will be the red carpet premiere here in Perth. And everything, and to organize all this, right? Seriously, I kid you not, things were just falling on my lap. Like we're gonna partner up with the cinema and all that. When things are just opening up like that, and then the dark voices are like, oh, Nori, it's a bit too much. Like you don't want to do this, blah blah. But then I said to myself, if I'm not meant to do this, the resources will then open up.
Yeah.
If the resources are opening up, they're sending me because they say, hey, this is what you need to do, and we're sending you help. Yeah. So what you call it? So that's the happening part, and then there's potential of another big launch in Dallas, which is I can't really release the news because it involves some other big plans. Yeah.
Other people. Okay. Well, I'll just have to wait. I'll wait.
I hope that they can plan something in Seattle.
Yeah, I'd love it. And any place on the West Coast, and I'll come see you.
Yeah. So at this moment, I heard that, and then in December, I know they're going to be in South Carolina. So so it's going to be like a full circuit.
Okay. Well, let me know the schedule so I can see if I can hop up there wherever you are.
Yeah. So the movie is also very awesome because it's not just about brain injury. It's also about what you call it, domestic violence, drug addiction. She was fighting for child custody. So it's a story about, if you ask me, yes, the core story is brain injury because that's what she had that started to what you call it, knock her life around. But if you ask me, it's such a beautiful film that I think all women need to watch. I think everyone needs to watch, especially those people that are going through a challenging time, especially women. Because, Joe, I'm going to tell you this again. Before I came across this film, I had people who has heard me speak on stage, right, with my full story. They're like, oh my God, you're so amazing. How come you're still standing here so positive after what you went through? And people always tell me I'm amazing. Until I actually, come across this film, and it's a true story of a woman, in Michigan. And I'm just blown away the strength of a woman.
Yeah.
I tell you, women or humans, but in this film, that women is just, and this is the reason why women need to stop playing small. It's a message for myself as well. Women need to stop playing small. Women need to stop feeling sorry for themselves. Women need to stop looking at the past about what didn't happen or what happened. Women need to just look within them and really, find that. I'm going to use the word warrior here because that's what she is in that film. It's a true story because seriously, like she is representing a true female warrior. She went through so much and still now, she's still around baking banana bread. So yeah. Yeah. And it's a story that women need to, the story will remind women the power that a woman have, Yeah. So.
Well, women hold up the world. We do. We just hold the world up in our hands. And we don't realize the strength that we have, and we don't realize what more we can give to the world. And you're right. We just play in our small little box.
Yeah. And I think I do not know much about I do not know a lot of history, but I think the reason why women are the way we are, it's because in the past we have made to believe that we just we're just supposed to be in the kitchen. We're just supposed to be in
We
the
don't
house.
have anything to offer. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just you're just around because to cook meals, to look after the kids,
Yeah.
to
To
but
make my life easier.
yeah, to look to look after other people.
Yeah.
But the if women really look within themselves, and I'm saying this to myself, and I'm also saying it to a lot of women out there, because I met a lot of women that they are in that mode,
Yeah.
and because they are in that mode, because they think about the things that they didn't do, the things that have passed, the boats that they have missed, And I think women need to just let go of the past, because the past is the past. None of us can change anything. And today, just look within themselves. What do you really want, And if you can't answer that question, then start asking who you are, who you truly are. Before you become a mother, before you become, this worker,
That's right.
become a wife, who are you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you'll be amazed. You'll be amazed of the answers you can find,
Yeah. It's really true. Okay, my dear, as always, we had a wonderful conversation. I love talking with you.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And, it's like, I just love your brand. I love how, you, like I said to you before when we were talking in India, I said, I love your brand. I love, how you name your business, Midlife, Rewritten, and I love that you're doing this book, because I think a lot of women, could really benefit, and I really look forward to this book. I look forward to the rest of the woman's story inside this book, and because I think it's time. It's already happening, but I think more women should come together and do something like what you're doing now, a collaboration, where we come together and spread the message about how powerful we can be. Yeah.
I agree. So thank you. All right, so I'm going to keep track of you. I want to hear your schedule so I know where you're going to be, so I can come and say hello. And in the meanwhile, good luck with your event coming up and your premiere. I want to see pictures of the movie's premiere, and take care of yourself.
Okay. And for those of you that might want to follow my work, I'm very active on Instagram, and you can find me striveandthrive.com.au. But you can also go to my website. Some people have, find that the name is too long, Strive and Thrive. But if you know me, my name is Norita Omar. So noritaomar.com, and that will point you to my website. Yeah.
So I'll make sure I put that information in the show notes too, so they'll have it. So.
All right. And I look forward to be gracing your country again. So I'll be there in September, and
All right. That would be great. I look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my glorious second act workbook and planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to create a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below, so click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.